Good afternoon, folks. We're going to talk about the latest mock drafts of what the Detroit Lions are being selected by media outlets. Mel Kuiper just came out with his. There's other players that is being connected to the Detroit Lions. We're going to go through these players, and I do think that they're legit targets for Detroit, where they're sitting at 29. Now, some of these players, they may have to trade up a little bit to get, or they could trade back, but these are legit players I think the Detroit Lions are targeting. We're going to go through it and give you thoughts. You already know, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that here in Lions Nation Unite. Drop videos every single day, in season, off season, from a fan perspective, as well as a former player in Herman Moore. That's what we do, and we have fun. We're going to go ahead and do a little bit of compilation of mock drafts of what the media has the Detroit Lions selecting and give you my thoughts here. Now, we're going to start with Mel Kuiper because he literally just dropped his mock draft, and he has the Detroit Lions going for cornerback TJ Tampa. I think that is a legit target for the Detroit Lions. I do. I like TJ Tampa. He's rated my number 6 cornerback. And I think the Lions, though, they could get him probably in the second round. I think this would be an option for Detroit to trade back. Obviously, Mel Kuiper didn't do that here. It doesn't really matter. He doesn't generally do trades in his mock drafts. Is just kind of connecting the dots. And I think he's correct here. I think you do got to look at the cornerback position. It's the question that is going to continue to be had about the corner position is what one's going to be there. I really like Quinyon Mitchell, the Toledo Torpedo. He is probably my favorite corner in this year's draft, and he would do amazing with Detroit. Just the physicality, the ball skills that he has. I think he'd play well under an Aaron Glenn scheme, but I do believe you're going to have to trade up. Now, he is a target, and the reason I'm putting him on this list with the TJ Tampa, the corner position, and will the Lions trade up or trade back? These guys are legit. Kool-Aid McKinstry also as well is a legit target for the Detroit Lions. We're seeing him in mock drafts. So keep up with these names. The cornerback position, and it may just be need meshes with best player available. Just got to find out, will there be a run at corner? Now, my feeling is near the 20s is when the corners are going to start coming off the board, and the Lions will have to make a decision at this point. Do we sit back at 29 and just see how this board falls? Maybe one of our guys comes up, or do we trade up to get a guy, or do we trade back? That's going to be the biggest decision. In all honesty, if I'm a betting man, I think the Lions are going to trade the pick. I don't know if it up or down, but I don't think they sit at 29. So this is not out of the realm of possibility. I just don't think it'd be the 29th pick for getting TJ Tampa. That's more of a second round. Is a target for sure. Darius Robinson, the edge from Missouri, is a target for the Detroit Lions. And look, he's a big guy, 291, 6'5". You put him opposite of Aiden, he can get it. He can do some damage. Now, I'm not thinking he's going to come in here immediately and be an Aiden Hudson or anything like that, but he would be a quality edge rusher, a developmental guy that you can pair up with somebody whom you got in free agency. Again, this would be a situation of BPA, and they did not run on their corner position. There was a run on the corner position, and somebody they didn't really want to take there would be an option for them to just go in a different position at edge. So I think that's very possible. Byron Murphy, I've been talking about him for a while. He's a legit target at pick 29. I don't think the Lions would have to move, honestly, from this one. The defensive tackle from Texas. Look, if you paired him up with the Lee McNeil, we're continuing to stop the run, but he's going to get pressure from the interior, and that's something that we missed out. Besides having a Lee McNeil, he can get that pressure. He's a guy that would definitely be that defensive tackle that's going to fight the blocks and terrorize the quarterback a little bit. More of a passing type of DT. A guy that you can play all the time, but putting up that pressure in the middle is vital towards our pass rush. We got to get an edge, but we definitely got to get pressure from the interior. Aleem cannot do it all himself. It just cannot happen. Graham Barton, there's a lot of guards that the Detroit Lions can look at. There could be a little bit of run. Jackson Powers, guard/center. Troy Fontenot, he is a tackle. You could probably play him at guard for a year and then move him to tackle if you decide to go in a different direction. And I know that people do not want to go offensive lineman at 29. But if you think it from a strategic standpoint, it actually makes a ton of sense. The future of Taylor Decker. We all like Taylor Decker, but are they going to do a massive extension for him? I don't know. You got Penei Sewell, who is he's the best right tackle in football, but he can play left tackle, obviously. And you don't know what's going to happen with Jonah Jackson. You don't know the future of the right guard position. Graham Glasgow's probably going to re-sign, but he's not the future. So you have a situation where you could have an actual hole at the offensive line if you don't get something this year. Or if you do, it's not good enough because Jonah didn't re-sign. And then you got to think about the future of Frank Ragnow. He's going to play this year, but he probably, I bet if the Lions would get to a Super Bowl, he would retire probably after that. And then so you got to think about the future at the center position. And he's been injured quite a bit, so it's something that they could do right then and there to get it done. Let me know in the comment section, what is something you would like the Detroit Lions to go for in the draft? Let me know. I mean, it's important for Detroit Lions to kill this draft and get it done. When it comes to free agency, it's not a lot of news or rumors are coming out there right now. It's tight-lipped in Ford Field. It's tight-lipped in Allen Park. It's tight-lipped all over there in Detroit of what they're going to do. Brad Holmes is not letting anything out. I haven't heard any legit rumors that they're targeting a said player. I don't, but I would look at edge. I would look at offensive line, potentially backup role. I'm not saying starter. Graham Glasgow would be kind of put in that realm as well, even though he would be a starter. You can look at the cornerback position for sure, and there's players that they could get. Now, Brad Holmes spoke, and I posted this on my personal channel. We're going to trust the process. We're not winning in March. We win in December. I 100% agree. It's the right philosophy, but it doesn't mean that they're just going to go. They're going to go to the Dollar General for free agents. They could pick up one or two that can really help this team out this year, and I think they should. But you definitely got to do the draft. The draft is the most important part. And we got the NFL Combine coming up, and Brad Holmes was talking about, obviously, you could see what these prospects can do in their 40 times and all that, but it doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot because you want to look at the play on the field instead of just simply looking at numbers from an NFL Combine. So I put about 5% in the NFL Combine, 95% of play on the field, and they have the same strategy there, and I think a lot of people is like that. All you listeners are probably on the same page when it comes to that one, but I don't think they're going to be completely prude when it comes to free agency. I don't, and I know that they've been saying that they're going to do the free agents, but I do think they get one or two guys that could be an upgrade starting on defense. You just got to pair up, in my opinion, you got to get a veteran corner and pair him up with the young rookie. You don't want to put the young rookie out immediately as number one because he's going to have some growing pains, and that happens every single time. So if you can get a veteran in there, it would help alleviate some of the struggles that a rookie is going to have. That would be a good 1-2 combination move. So then you can get a guy who can play now, and you can get a guy who's going to be your Darius Slay of the future, who develops into a really good corner. Again, this is a really good draft for corners. I'm not saying elite corner, but it's really good corners, and that's okay. Not many drafts have elite corners. It doesn't happen that much. So when you have a chance to really upgrade, you can do it in this draft. But fully expect them to look at free agents as well for this football team. Really, really important here. And the new defensive line coach says it's real easy to become a coach under Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell is a guy who does not micromanage. And a lot of people like that. You at home like that. You have a job, you have a boss, you don't like being micromanaged. So coaches like Terrell Williams is going to be all about coming to the Detroit Lions just like players are, right? The coaches don't want to be micromanaged. They want to be able to do their own job and make sure that their guys are straightforward with what he knows. And that's the best way to go via leadership, in my opinion. So, yeah, you could see a situation where coaches want to come here for sure. And that's going to be a trend as well as coaches leaving here to become head coaches. And that's just the bottom line. I'll talk about C.J. Gardner Johnson really quick again from what I'm feeling and kind of what a little bit what I'm hearing is the Lions aren't going to bring back C.J. Gardner Johnson. C.J. Gardner Johnson wants to be a full-time starter. There's some people, I wouldn't say annoyed, but kind of maybe had it with the attitude, which I like it. But I mean, look, you can't be crazy like that all the time, right? People get annoyed by it. But I like the confidence that he has. I like CJ Gardner Johnson. I'd like him to come back. But again, when you have players like a Futu Mel you have Brian Branch, you have Kirby Joseph, the Lions are good at the safety position. So it's more of a luxury to have a CJ Gardner Johnson, who, again, it'll be interesting to see what he can fetch. Now, being injured, maybe he takes a 1-year deal, a prove-it deal with another team. But I do think he's not returning. Same with Jonah Jackson. I'm going to keep saying that here. What I'm hearing is he wants top 5 guard money. The Lions would do top 10, and I'm not going to pay I'm not going to play Jonah Jackson top 5. You just can't do that. It's with a guy who has shown some injuries, and I don't think he's a top 5 guard in the NFL. I think he's a Pro Bowl guard. I think he's a good guard. I wouldn't necessarily do top 5. I do top 10 for sure. That's just something that the Lions probably can't do, considering the fact that you got Penei Sewell eventually coming up. You got Aiden Hutchinson coming up. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown, so you cannot pay everybody. So some of these guys may not be coming back, and that's okay because you have the ability to draft their replacements and trust Brad Holmes' process. I know a lot of people get annoyed about free agency if we're not getting every single top dog. That's not how it should be. Free agency is more supplemental. Free agency is plug in a hole. All right, the draft is where you really build your foundation, and your long-term success is finding young players. So let's all be patient. Let's enjoy this NFL Combine coming up. We'll see if any player stands out via 40 time, that maybe they'll go up in drafts and down in drafts, and we'll kind of see what the trends taking place. And soon we're going to have visits from these prospects, and then we can really get into it because we all know that Brad Holmes does draft players whom they bring in for visits. So we got a lot coming up, folks. Make sure you hit that notification bell, subscribe for the latest Lions news and rumors. With that said, folks,